welcome to episode 182 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we discuss it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined by my co-captain, Kyle Springer.
Hello, co-captain indeed. It's good to be here. I mentioned on the captain's log that we recorded like two days ago. For some odd reason, it felt like we hadn't podcasted in a long time. Even though that's not true, it still feels like that. Like my weird sense of understanding time is still happening this weekend. So here we are, though, on the review show. How's your weekend been?
It's been nice. I had to go to shopping yesterday. I ate tacos and ice cream. It was a big day.
I almost got tacos. I had a quesadilla last night.
Solid.
It was really good. Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, The Leftovers, season 2.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about this week. We normally watch a brand new something every week on the show, and frequently we would have to watch only season 1 of something. And we've been doing ongoing monthly series for the last year and a half or so. Leftovers is the latest of these. We watched season 1 at the end of September. Now we're watching season 2. And at the end of the month, look for our episode where we watch the 3rd and final season.
Yeah. Usually we do these at the end of each month, but October, we kind of like to push that one out of October and only focus on spooky stuff. So here we are in early November doing this one, Leftovers Season 2. So I'm gonna assume that you listened to our stuff on Season 1. Of course, there will be spoilers for all of that stuff. We will be talking about it in depth and all of that. But just first, right off the top, like what were your kind of general thoughts about season 2?
I really liked it. I was impressed by season 1, and I was not anticipating that there would be, even then, an upswing in quality. Season 2 is great.
Yes, I think I kind of want to mimic that and say, that season 2 was much more captivating to me than season 1 was. I enjoyed season 1. I recognized the quality and the work that went into it, but it was not necessarily for me. It's one of those weird things of like, I liked it, I enjoyed it. Just not my favorite, right? But this was a lot more along the lines of something that was like, okay, I'm interested. Like this has my attention, and I'm fully captivated with season 2. I think again, just spoiler free, but I think in general, the show kind of dives into more mysteries than what we got in season 1. Like season 1 was just weird. Like there was maybe some odd coincidences, or like, okay, there's this strange cult, but that's kind of about it. This actually does start to bring in some more mysteries and just some even weirder things that you're like, how is this all gonna play in to this show? From the opening scene, which is happening in like prehistoric times, to just weird things happening, just weird mentions of angelic beings and odd occurrences. It's just like, it seemed season 2 was just on a whole nother level from season 1.
It starts with a 10-minute sequence where we follow a cave woman thousands of years ago, and it ends with a karaoke song with life or death consequences.
Yeah. And in between, there is this like crime mystery of this like missing girl and what may have happened to her. But yeah, this was a lot more interesting. I'm now just kind of baffled at how they're gonna end this show, because there's only one more season after this, so I don't know if it's gonna be something that just is left open to interpretation, or will they somehow tie these plot threads up in a satisfying way. I don't know, but it's hooked me enough that I'm just like, I want to see how this ends, but I don't know how it's gonna end at all.
Yeah,
now.
I know nothing.
Yeah. So good stuff. I'm now more willing to recommend this show. Yes. Be like, yes, go watch this. There is some interesting stuff there.
I love that it is a very serious prestige drama on massive, high-level existential questions, but it also has the energy of a Vine compilation.
It kind of does, to be honest.
That was how I figured out to understand the energy of this show. Like, I looked up vines that radiate chaotic energy, and on several of them, I'm like, yeah, that's The Leftovers. That's what The Leftovers does.
It really is just chaos. Like, there's just so much that's happening, but also in a weird way, it's just going in a big cycle. Because like some like larger plot stuff that's happening in there is also kind of the same stuff that happened in season 1. Especially by the end of the season, you see it and you're just like, huh, okay, this is kind of mirroring what happened in season 1. Interesting. But yeah, it was good. I had a lot more fun with season 2 than I did season 1 here. So
yes,
good stuff indeed. Kind of a plot synopsis, I think, is what we should do next. Yeah. It's always awkward to do these like middle seasons of like, here's a plot synopsis, but it's also here's what we're catching up on. I don't know. It's awkward.
Well, after the end of last season, where Kevin got Jill out of the guilty remnant, Tommy dropped a baby off on their porch, and Nora was going to leave, but instead she's like, look, Kevin, I found a baby. That's where we left our family. And season 2 begins with the 4 of them, Kevin and Nora and Jill and little baby Lily, who they adopted. They are going to leave Mapleton behind and move to Jarden, Texas, which is the only town on Earth that experienced no departures. And surrounding that town, there's a new national park that has been erected named Miracle National Park. And all these people are making pilgrimage to go to Miracle because they think the town is blessed and they want to like drink the river water and stuff like that. And it's really tricky to actually move into the town if you didn't live there before. It's super protected. So they get into this odd little town. It wasn't odd to begin with, but that circumstance of having not lost anybody in the departure has made it a strange place where people ritualistically repeat the things that they did that day in the beliefs that in the belief that this will keep them safe, that this is a good luck charm.
Yeah.
And they encounter a family called the Murphys, and their daughter goes missing, along with 2 of her friends. And that's a season-long mystery of what in the world happened to these girls. Is this a secondary departure? Because they're really hard to track down. It's like, well, did they vanish like they did 3 or 4 years ago on October 14th?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting mystery. I like that more crime aspect because I'm a big crime show fan. So that part of it pulled me in of like, was this a murder? Is this a kidnapping? Is this a second disappearing? What happens? Like there's some really strange circumstances going on here, and that was, I think, the thing that drew me in, of just like, I want to see what happens with this.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I felt the kind of idea of Miracle, this place in Texas, is both ridiculous and on the nose, and also something that I can totally see happening in Texas. This like really religious experience of just like, yeah, God spared us. Like, he loves our town. Like, we're devout Christians. We do all. It's just like this weird, eerie feeling of this like super religious town. That's like, on one hand, I don't believe that, but on the other hand, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And that is a conflict throughout the season of people who believe, yes, this town is magic. Magic things happen here. Blessed things happen here. And other people who are like, no, it was a fluke. I'm grateful we still have everybody we started with on the morning of October 14th. But this isn't a magic place. Don't go around saying this is a magic place.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, definitely a step up, I think, from season 1. I'm hoping season 3 continues that trend, which we will cover at the end of the month here. So good stuff. Final thoughts on, like, or spoiler-free thoughts you want to say before we get into spoilers and stuff like that?
No, let's just get into it. Let's do our housekeeping and then get into the spoilers.
Sounds
I'm
good.
excited.
Sounds good. So yeah, we will be right back. We're gonna take a quick break for some housekeeping, and then we will get into spoilers after that. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at the Whatnauts, patreon.com/the Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/the Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. Big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, especially those at the $5 tier and above. So thank you to Sam. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Cool things that we have been doing here at the Whatnauts. On the Captain's Log this past week, you and I just made a bunch of like recommendation lists, I think is the best way to put that. Yeah, we have so many things that we've covered here on the review show that it can kind of get overwhelming. So we thought we should make some top 5 lists, or not necessarily like these are the best of the best out there of all time, but just like, hey, of the things that we have covered on the review show. Yeah. Here are our top 5 mystery stories. Here's our top 5 comics. Here's our top 5 romances, or who knows what. And I think throughout however long we keep doing this show, I'm sure we'll update them and do all that stuff. And I think the idea is to eventually make some short YouTube videos on these to just help signpost people and be like, hey, look at this stuff. It's neat. It's fun. It's good. That being said, Crossplay, our video game podcast, is still trucking along. I think they recorded yesterday. I was not on that one. I won't be on the one next week, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they do for those ones here. I have no idea, but we have a video game podcast, and it is a video game season right now. A whole bunch of big important games are coming out. The next big one that I'm looking forward to is Pokemon, out on the 19th.
Pokemon how? Pokemon which?
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It's a remake of like the third generation, I think it was, third or fourth one. I don't remember, but yeah, remakes of those games. And I never played those ones, so I'm excited to hop into these ones. There you go.
Nice. Is that Johto?
I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan. I don't think it's Johto. I think that was like the first or second region, if I'm not mistaken.
See, I never played a Pokemon game. I only know the anime, and I have trouble mapping the generations of the games to like the eras of the anime.
That makes sense. I just kind of played through them and moved on. Like, I'm not big into like catching shinies or breeding them or fighting them. Like, I just like, I'll play the game and it's good, it's fun, and that's it. So
that's a fine way to live.
Yeah, indeed. But with that, I say we move on to our spoiler section so we can start breaking this down. So here we go. We're in spoiler territory now. Here we are. Man, so we have to start with this opening scene and how we interpret this and what we think the implications are. This was wild. So yeah, you had watched, I think, the first two before I did, and I was like, hey, I'm about to start, and you were like, okay, at least let me prepare you. And I was like, okay, and you're like, it opens up with brand new characters, but not only that, it starts in like caveman times, and we follow this cave woman for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think I timed it, and it is like 11 minutes with this unnamed anonymous cave woman.
Yeah, and then you went on to say, like, we don't see a character that we know until like the final 10 minutes of this episode. Yeah. And so yeah, it was an interesting, kind of shocking experience to start season 2 this way. But as I know we will keep bringing up throughout our conversations of the leftovers here, I'm kind of used to that with Lost. Right? Yeah. Like in that show, like we would get these things where like all of a sudden it's in like a completely different time period and we're following characters. We don't know who they are. How does this play in? Why are they these two people dressed in white and black on this beach, just chilling? It looks like they're cavemen or something like that. So it had that similar vibe, right? Whereas like, okay, this kind of feels familiar in a weird way, but it's also, I have no idea what I'm watching or how this is playing in, because season 1 played its cards very close to its chest in terms of saying what the departing was, this departure thing was. Like, is this religious? Is this scientific? Is this supernatural? Is it aliens? I don't know, right? Like, we don't know what. And this is almost getting into not I would say supernatural, but it's still not, right? Like, because the story we get is this cave woman wakes up in the middle of the night because she has to pee, walks outside, she's super pregnant. While she is peeing, there's an earthquake. The cave that she lives in with all of her family collapses. They all die, and she's stuck outside. She's the only survivor.
If they're not
Or
immediately
guess.
dead, they will soon be dead because there's seemingly that was the one entrance and it's covered in rocks that she
We
can't
didn't
move.
see their bodies, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she immediately goes into labor to have this baby, and then her and the baby just wander around. And she gets bit by a snake and her arm gets all gross and then she dies.
And then
Season 2 of The Leftovers.
Then a second woman comes
Yes.
up, another cave woman, and picks up the baby who's just been left there in the arms of this dying or this now dead cave woman, and that's it. Smash cut to modern day times, like The Leftovers season 2. It's just like, what is going on here?
This isn't like those flashbacks on Lost. This is not, I don't think anybody we know is a descendant of this cave family. It's scene setting.
You
if
never
they
know.
Are, what anybody could be, what does it matter? What does it do for us if John Murphy is descended from Cave Woman?
I mean, that's the thing. So this is kind of skipping ahead a bit here, but there's another theory that comes into play that certain people are lenses, right? That they are these so-called like magnifying glasses, like a kid with a magnifying glass burning in ants, that wherever they are, like bad things kind of happen around them because they just focus all of this stuff onto the people that are surrounding them. It might be something like that. It might be a curse, right? That somehow Nora is maybe descended from these people, or I don't know. Like it's just wild speculation.
I want to ask you, did you take the lens theory seriously after the woman on the phone tells Nora, we think you're a lens and we think you're a vessel for the demon Azrael?
No, not at all. But it's still like, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily wrong about that part, that there might be certain characters that like bad things happen more often around them
lightning
for
rods,
some reason. Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't think she is the vessel for the demon Azrael. And she has the same reaction too. She busts out laughing and it's just like, I'm gonna hang it up. This is ridiculous.
Right. The cave woman's story, I think, is meant to set up that even if Jarden believes this miracle happened here, we are blessed. It's something that Michael says in, when he's speaking to the church in the final episode. Yeah, we were blessed that day. We didn't lose anybody that day, but we've lost so many people before then, and we're going to lose people after. One day doesn't make the entire town a magical, sacred place, and it's showing that even centuries beforehand, humanity and the ground we walk on and the places we live and that we call home and that we call a special place are marked by a lot of loss, a lot of tragedy.
Right, yeah.
But there's also always the opportunity to start over. The woman and her whole family die, but also we presume they die. Maybe there was a back entrance and they do get out of the cave. We really don't know. And the little baby gets picked up by a new cave mom. Yeah. There's tragedy, but there's also renewal. There's hope. And that cycle of tragedy and renewal seems baked into what this show is.
You nailed it. Yeah, exactly. I think I don't think we've clarified yet, but this cave woman that we're talking about is also living in Jarden, what would one day become Jarden. So it's this centuries old cave woman living in what is now Texas.
It fades away from her lying dead on the rocks to Evie and her friends swimming in the river.
Yeah. It's an interesting scene. It's an interesting way to start the show that I think for some people is going to spark all kinds of theories and stuff of like, oh, this is an ancient curse, or it's somehow someone's related to this cave woman, who knows. But yeah, I think what you said nailed it. Exactly.
It also sets up on just a practical matter. Jarden's full of earthquakes and always has been. Earthquakes are a problem here.
Yep, indeed. So I think next we need to talk about Evie. Because she's like the next character that we meet after this cave woman here. I liked her a lot. I thought she was a fascinating character because we don't see we see, I think, like 2, maybe 3 flashes that she's a little different, right? There is this scene where she's playing catch in the backyard with her dad, and she tells this joke, and it is just this like oddly nihilistic joke that is just like, whoa, where is that coming from? And then we get these flashes of like her running naked through the woods.
That was so mysterious. The running
really
naked through the
back
woods
into play. I just
you see it. Yeah, it's her and her 2 friends running naked through the woods, and it's not like we're escaping. We've been attacked. Somebody stole our clothes. We are running away. It's not that, and it's also not the joy of flashing someone of just running around naked. It seems really focused and almost like it's like an athletic challenge to them. Like, we're going to run naked in the woods for health or something. It's a challenge to ourselves. Like, they've got this very intense look on their faces that you really do not know how to read. You get no context for this. And at the end of the season, I'm still not exactly sure what that means. Maybe this is, I don't know, maybe Meg's starting a new Guilty Remnant initiation challenge. Before you put on the white clothes, you have to run around naked.
Yeah, but we're not sure, like, is this the woods in Jarden? Is this outside of Jarden? Where we're like, there's just no.
Yeah, it's just woods.
Yeah, there's just there's seemingly no rhyme or reason to see them doing this, but it's like right at the start of this show where it's like, something is up. Like you're starting to get the picture of like, okay, something's about to happen here. And yeah, it's a weird scene. But beyond that, like, she seems happy. She seems fine. She seems to just like she's in a great family. And yeah, like, it just, everything seems normal for them, except those like small instances that's just like, huh, okay, weird.
And it's this, we follow the Murphy family through the majority of episode 1, and I was wondering, like, is this a show that just sort of hits a restart button every season? We're with a completely different family in a different part of the country. We have no tethers back to what we know until I forget if what happens first is that we see them at church and then their pastor brings out his friend, Matt Jameson, and his wife, Mary, or if it's the fact that the Garveys move in next door. The characters we know from Mapleton have moved over here to this blessed town.
I think we see the Garveys first.
Okay.
I think.
Because I know there is a moment where, like, they look out of their porch and, like, there's a house next to them that's vacant. And we see the Garvings getting out of their truck, and there is this like musical hit when you see Kevin that just seems like it should be labeled in the captions like sexy Justin Theroux music.
Exactly. And yeah, it is this awkward like, hi, new neighbor. Hi, neighbor that was standing awkwardly on your porch. Okay, hi. Just this awkward scene in first meeting there. But almost immediately, I think now this is getting into number two here, but almost immediately, that first day when the Garveys move in, they get invited to the birthday of their neighbors. This is where we learn that Evie also has epilepsy. She gets these seizures, and she ends up dropping the birthday cake. That's also one of those moments that, like,
Tragic.
Not that something is wrong, right? But it just adds to the feeling that, like, something is about to happen.
And adds to the different mystery threads when you do find out that she has disappeared. Did she go swimming, have a seizure, and drown? And if so, where did her body end up?
Yeah. Or was she running naked out in the woods and had one and just, didn't have help? But it's like oddly tense the whole time that they're at this party. Like, I think Kevin Gagari feels like doesn't really want to say he's a cop, or he used to be. It's also like just like knowing what that town is and what all they believe. It's interesting to see someone from the outside then move in.
Yeah.
Like they are the outsiders being like, will you accept us? All that stuff. And the Murphys are like, so who are you guys really, though?
And
why did you move in here?
There's a very tense moment where it starts out nice. It's Erica, the mom, is telling the story about how one day when their kids were little, they kept running the bath tap, and like they overflowed the bathtub and all the bathroom, and there's all this water pouring down the stairs, and she tells it like it's this funny, cute story. And then one of the Garveys looks at John and it's like, that's wild. John, what did you say? And he's like, I didn't say anything. I was in jail for attempted murder.
Yeah.
And then like the thermostat of the entire party changes.
Exactly. And then to make things weirder, that night is when everything happens.
Yeah.
So Kevin out sleepwalking. We don't know why.
As he does.
We don't even find that out yet at the first thing. But the lake that we saw Evie and her friends swimming at the day before, that lake has now completely drained and no one noticed. And
well, the earthquake caused like a big crevice, like it cracked open the ground underneath the lake, and it seems like it just poured into the ground, and like that's how it was drained, and there's just like
which is
fish
what
flopping
we
around.
Find out, but we don't find that out until like episode like 6 or 7, where they explain that like it was probably one of the earthquakes that opened up thing. Like I like, you just see this lake and it was like that was just filled with water. What the hell happened? Like how does that happen?
It seemed pretty clear to me that it was because of the earthquake. Like we see like a large crevice in the lake bed.
I never put that together, like until they explicitly mention it. Like, oh, it was probably this.
Well, you thought the water was also departured.
Like that's the thing of like they haven't explained, is this scientific, is it man-made, is it supernatural, all that stuff. So it's just, here's another mystery. Like all of this lake water is gone. On top of that, these 3 girls whose car is at the lake, all their stuff is still inside, the music is still on, they're gone. We don't know what happened. And then it's like the start of the third one where we see Kevin waking up with a cinder block tied to his leg, like at the bottom of what would have been this lake on the same night that these girls went missing. And so you're just sitting there like, what happened?
There's a lot of hooks in this season that I really dug. A lot of mystery and interesting threat hooks. One of which is that, Kevin, we know he's got this habit of sleepwalking and like doing things that he isn't conscious of. And he wakes up with a cinder block tied to his leg in this lake bed where he would have drowned and died if the earthquake hadn't opened up a hole that then all the water flowed into.
Yeah.
And he wakes up, he doesn't know where he is. And like he gets up out of the lake bed and he looks at this car. And there's a scene where he like kind of puts his hand in the car and like peers through the windows. Like, is anybody in here? Like, did somebody die?
Yeah.
And so there's his palm print with like mud on it on the car. And that's this threat hanging over him for the entire season as the disappearance of these girls are being investigated. That him and Nora, he does tell all of this to Nora. She's aware of it. They're like, eventually they're going to find that palm print. That they're going to know that Kevin was there, and it's going to be very difficult for him to explain that he had nothing to do with this.
Right, because he doesn't remember. So it's very possible that he could have done something.
Yeah.
And he just not know.
He believes that he didn't, and Nora believes that he didn't, but there is still that like 1% chance of, well, nobody really knows for sure. Who knows what Kevin does when he's asleep? One time he kidnapped Patty.
Exactly. Which I think is also one of my favorite conceits of season 2 is that Patty is still a character despite her being dead.
Yeah.
She is this kind of ghost / invisible friend that is haunting Kevin. She's not all like ghost looking or like decomposing
just
or something
herself.
like that. She is her full solid self, but only Kevin can see her. There's actually a video game that does something very similar. It's Batman Arkham Knight. I think it's that one. Yeah, Batman Arkham Knight, where the Joker has died, but he's still like Batman is still seeing him. And you'll like walk by something and he'll be standing there just like, you're really gonna go in there, Bats? Like, I wouldn't do that. And he's just like having this conversation with this dead character that he had this really intense relationship and connection with. Yeah.
Right. That's a really interesting comparison point. Yeah, he's stuck with Patty, and Patty is not choosing to haunt him. She's stuck to him, and she's like, I also don't know why I'm here. I can't tell you what I want. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do, Kevin. I'm just here to hang around you and sinisterly sing Never Gonna Give You Up at you. I'm just a cosmic after the grave Rickroll, Kevin.
Yeah. I thought that was fantastic when she started singing that.
And it reminded me of that scene in the second to last episode of season 1 where we flash back to the day before the departure and Jill's like 13, 14 years old and she's showing her dad like, there's this really funny internet video and she shows him the ant flying around.
Yeah.
Oh, just an echo of another time a meme just happened at Kevin.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, there's so many like smaller mysteries in this too. Like we don't get to know anything about the guy on the pillar in the middle of town. We get like one or two details, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like we don't know anything.
One of my favorite mini mysteries is the man who keeps killing goats. This happens in episode 1. I think maybe it is the Murphys all going out to lunch at a diner. And this guy just comes in. He's leading like a goat on a rope. He lays down a sheet of like plastic, like a plastic canvas like on the ground, slits the goat's throat, and then wraps it all up and drags all of it out of there. And everybody treats it really normal. Like they treat it like it's a nuisance. Like, Jerry, now there's blood over here. Come on, somebody get a mop. Jerry came in with the goat again. Like, they don't act like it's shocking. They don't act like it's a crime. Just that he did it annoying this time. Like, he didn't aim right. The blood's all over the place. And we see this happen like a couple more times. Or like we see him leading goats around. He's always got a new goat from somewhere. And it's in like the last episode that we find out that's what he did the morning of the 14th. He needed to slaughter a goat for whatever reason. Perhaps he's a farmer. It was time to harvest goat meat or whatever for some reason. And he believed then that, that must have done it. This was like a sacrifice to protect the town. So periodically from then on, like he just keeps killing goats. They have that big fundraiser night for the, getting more money to help track down the girls. and he comes in with a goat, and Erica's like, no, do not kill a goat here. I'm done with this. Cut it out.
Yeah. It's so like it's strange because like I think by going to these different locations, he feels like he's sacrificing the goat for the people there at that
I have
location.
protected this diner, and he is doing it nobly. He's like, I really want those girls to be found. Let me kill a goat here symbolically to protect them. Yeah.
But it's still strange of just like. I don't know where you were when you killed that first goat, but you think it protected the whole town. Why do you think you now need to go to specific spots to then protect that?
Why do you think you need to re-up that much?
Right? Like you can just do it from your barnyard and protect the whole town that way. It's just like there's small stuff like that, which is good.
We also see a woman wearing a wedding dress, just like watering her lawn very early in the season, and you find out that morning she tried on a wedding dress, and she then felt that was also a ritual act of protection. And now every day, she doesn't wear it all the time, but for at least like an hour every day, she puts that wedding dress back on. Mm-hmm. And she's like something tourists go to see. Like she's on like the sightseeing map of Jarden, and she takes pictures with people. And she seems nice. Yeah. Like Jarden's such an odd little town where this huge thing happened or didn't happen, and everything became very symbolic, and it affected how people live and how people think. But there is still a sense of small town friendliness there. Like that woman in the wedding dress doesn't seem to have any uppity attitude. Like it was me. I protected the town. Everybody should come see me, the wedding dress lady. Seems like she just hangs out in like a lawn chair. People come by. She's like, do you want a photo? Like she's not pushing. I forget who it is that drives by your house. Maybe it's Nora or somebody, but she's not pushing them to get a photo. She's just like, do you want one?
To that. At a sec here. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of things like that. There's also the like researcher that we spend like 15 minutes following, and he's going around just like just what a socially inept asshole. Like he's not even trying to be, but he's so focused on his own thing and his numbers and his research. And I think those are the people that believe that Nora is the vessel for Azrael, which is ridiculous. Yes, but like
they
that's
seem
also
completely legitimate up until the point where the voice on the phone, who I think was Penny, I saw Sonia Walger's name in the credits.
Oh, really?
Like I think that was the only British woman in this episode. So it's our one lost recurring character. Until she tells Nora, "We believe you are a lens. We believe you are a vessel for a demon."
Yeah, so like I want to know more about this like outside research, like what research has been done. Like that is something that is interesting to me that the show avoids kind of for the sake of mystery, right? Like when Nora is trying to sell her house and the people from MIT come and they're like, we want to buy your house. We'll give you like $3 million or however much they got.
I think she wasn't trying to sell it. They came to her with the offer first. And they're like, you lost your 3 family members right here. We think this is a geographical hotspot maybe for departures. We want to study what your house is. We'll give you $3 million for the house. And I think that's when then she goes to Kevin and she's like, Kevin, do you want to get out of here? I just got all of this money for my house. And there's a real
to Jarden, spend like all of that money on buying their house in an auction because the house that they were going to be in got burned down by John Murphy.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Which
they
didn't even know.
This season is a lot of cause and effect that you see happening. Things that set up something else later, and none of the parties are aware of that. I'm not sure if the Murphys ever put together that the Garveys live next door to them because John burned that guy's house down.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so they'd intended to just rent. Well, they were going to rent this house, just go to Jarden, get away from everything for like 6 months, and then get their heads clear, and then maybe go back to Mapleton. But then when they find out that that house is burned down, there's a housing auction because housing in Jarden for any outsiders that want to move in, it's so rare, it's so lucrative now.
Right.
Nora gets into this auction and she just got that big payment for her old house. And she's so determined, we're going to live here. We're going to have a fresh start. We're going to live in this safe place. I'm going to feel safe again, knowing that nobody's going to take Kevin and Jill and Lily and Matt and Mary away from me. I'm going to put down everything I have to buy this house. And then they move into the house and it is a mess.
Awful house. It is just
it's
a wreck.
like, do you regret overbidding now, Nora, now that you don't have money to fix the plumbing?
Yeah. So before we get on to like where the mystery actually went and the finale, we do need to talk about John Murphy's father and all the stuff that happens between him and Kevin and all of that stuff. So we were run into this mysterious guy like right at the start when the Murphys first get to Miracle, and just one of those mysterious circumstances where it's like, hey, come see me about your situation. And
just local
Kevin
mysterious guy.
My situation? What are you talking about?
The Garveys have just gotten into town. He sees them in the welcome center, and Kevin knows that what he's talking about is Patty. And he's like, he's got to be talking about Patty. How does he know I have a Patty?
Right. Yeah. And he at first just kind of brushes it off, but eventually finds his way back to him and learns that he had gone to him before, actually. He had gone to him while he was sleepwalking, in which I don't remember his name, John Murphy's father. We'll call him
either.
Grandpa Murphy or something. But Grandpa Murphy then convinces Kevin, who's still asleep, but is sleepwalking, that he needs to kill himself.
And it's been said that when he is asleep, he really does not seem asleep. The people that he is around cannot tell that he is sleepwalking.
Yeah. But he's convinced Kevin to kill himself to help get rid of Patty, which is then why we learn why he was at the lake that night with the cinder block and the rope and all that stuff. And it did not work.
I want to say that at the end of the season, we see that scene from Evie's point of view. We see her and her friends drive there to the lake, and they spot Kevin with the cinder block tied around his leg, and he just like stares at them, and they stare back at him. And then he does the funniest little scissor kick leap off of the rock into the water. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but it really is.
It's like he was about to take a step forward, but then hopped off that back foot there. So just this like step hop.
And he does it wordlessly. He just stares at them, turns around, leaps like a ballerina.
There's not even like an awkward wave like, oh, hey.
No.
It's just this like stare. And then no one does anything. So he's just like, all right, step, here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the killing himself did not work the first time. So he eventually goes back, and Grandpa Murphy convinces him to take poison. And he's like, hey, I have a shot that will wake you up after, like, I'm not actually trying to kill you, but you need to be dead for this to, like, get off of you here. And so Kevin drinks the poison, and then Grandpa Murphy wastes the shot and shoots himself in the head. He's dead. They are both dead. And then we get an entire episode where Kevin is like in purgatory what you might think is purgatory, right? It's this big dream-like sequence. He's in this hotel. He wakes up in the bathtub. He has to put on an outfit because he picks the suit. The Purgatory now thinks he's an international assassin because he's in this like James Bond-esque suit.
Yeah.
And it's just this wild turn of events, weird things happening that ultimately he figures out that like, oh, what he needs to do is hunt and kill Patty and kill her.
He needs to cross the threshold of life and death to get to where she is and kill her again, like I guess she killed herself the first time, really.
Yeah.
But he has to cause a second death, a double death. Yeah, if she dies in the dream, she'll die in real life, meaning she will stop following Kevin around and rickrolling him.
Right, yeah. And so he thinks he's figured it out. He's in the hotel room because she's apparently running for president in this dream world thing. And he's gotten an interview with her. Is told to find the gun, which is hidden in the toilet, walks in the bathroom and sees... What's his name?
Wayne!
Wait,
just as we saw him last time in
people.
A bathroom.
Yeah. So weird that we see him. I don't know why he was there or how he's connected to all of this stuff.
It's the only characters that we recognize that Kevin sees in the hotel are characters who are dead, or he also sees Mary in the distance. Mary, who is alive, but is in that sort of comatose state. She is also sort of I don't want to say she's in between life and death, but she is not living the way most other people are. Right. So everybody he sees is dead, or he spots her in the distance. And like, we don't really like see her closely or hear her speak. So she's sort of vaguely a part of this world, a part of this limbo.
Right. Yeah. But it's just a weird thing of like, why is he even in this purgatory thing here in this role? It's strange, but he ends up getting the gun, is about to kill Patty, who he thinks is Patty. It looks a little like her, but she's sitting there like, no, like I'm not who you think I am. I'm not Patty. I'm just a body double. Like I'm an actor that has been paid to play her in this because we knew you were gonna try and kill her and all that stuff. Ends up finding out that the real Patty is this child that he saved from the pool while he was in purgatory, all this stuff. And he has to find a way to kill this kid. During which he then gets a weird, mysterious message from his father through the TV. But his father's not dead. His father's just high out of his mind on something.
He's on like a drug-induced spirit journey. And that's like how he's able to access this realm. I love this setting that they're in, like a nice hotel. It's a really odd bottle episode. The fire alarm keeps going off, which is like a ploy, I think, because his dad told him, don't let anybody from that's a representative of the guilty remnant, anybody who's like in President Patty's political party around here in this universe, don't let any of them see you until it's time for you to actually go meet her. So like the fire alarm keeps going off to get him out of his room. So every time he turns on the TV, it's crazy static until the one time like he gets his dad. And then his dad tells him all of this and tells him that he has to take her to the well.
Yeah, which is what he does. And he pushes this kid down the well. And then it's just like, oh, shit, I pushed a kid down the well. He's about to leave, but then he hears adult Patty down there calling for help, at which he jumps in after her. And it was this odd, I guess I don't know exactly what he was trying to do, but I understood it enough that like he doesn't actually want to kill Patty. Like, he has nothing against Patty.
Yeah, he's never meant her any malice. He disagreed with her activities as his cult leader. He was never trying to break up the Guilty Remnant. He was just like, can you guys behave yourselves and maybe also give me my wife back, please? That would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was not his conscious idea to say, let's kidnap Patty. He was shocked to find out that he had done it in his sleep. And he was shocked when he like tried to let her go. She's like, no, I'm ending this here. And then she killed herself.
Yeah. So he tries to save her in the well, but that doesn't really work. They're both stuck down there. But then another earthquake happens, and that is when Kevin kind of wakes up and finds out that he's been buried alive by John Murphy's kid. So
Michael.
Yeah, Michael. And it just the whole sequence is weird. It's strange. We end up going back to this thing because Kevin gets shot again down the road. So he's back in this
John
hotel.
Murphy. He's been killed twice by 2 generations of the Murphy family. Hasn't even been in town for like 2 weeks. He's never met these people. Yeah, and this is when finally that palm print comes back. John does find out your palm print was on the car that my daughter was in. You have something to do with this. And Kevin's trying to explain to him that he doesn't. And John shoots him. Kevin dies. He goes back into the hotel limbo. And then this guy with an Australian accent, who I believe we do not know, I think this is a new character, is there as this like arbiter of like the threshold between life and death. And there's a lounge there in the hotel where they're playing like a karaoke game, like spin the wheel. You have to sing whatever song the wheel lands on. And he's like, if you want to get back to your world, if you want to live again, Kevin, you have to sing.
Yeah. And at first he's like, no, that's stupid. But he eventually does. And yeah, it's just this like odd, like, what is it? Like, this is so chaotic. Like, what is happening here? Like, why? So weird.
I love it. I'm so happy that these are the choices that the narrative makes to take these big, bold, weird swings. Like Kevin dies a second time, goes back to the hotel purgatory. He has to karaoke his way back to life. And then we're just going to get 3 minutes of Justin Theroux tragically singing Simon and Garfunkel's Homeward Bound.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's God. But so yeah, he ends up waking up again. So he has died and resurrected twice now.
I love it. I love it. You would expect this in a show like Supernatural or something that really plays with the supernatural, with things like this happening. This is, except for the departure, a pretty normal world. And here our main character has died and come back to life twice. But within 20 episodes, he's already done this. This is something that like another show would pull like deep into it. No, this is one of the main setups. I looked at the like description of season 3, episode 1. And it says like 3 years later, the Garveys are trying to start over or something. Kevin tries to forget that he died.
Tries to forget that he died twice.
Twice.
Yeah. So, yeah, the whole thing is just chaos. And we haven't even really gotten to the chaos that's outside of Miracle yet. But I think we should loop back around to how we get there, how we get to the finale. So you were mentioning that there's the woman in the dress that takes pictures, right? And there was that couple that
right. Yeah, it was Meg, wasn't it?
It was Meg.
Yes.
It was Liv Tyler's character. Yeah, and her husband that she ended up leaving, and that we saw in like the start of season.
The guy who you thought was going to be important, and then he ultimately was not, and you've never seen him again until this flashback.
Yeah. Turns out that in the past, before Meg became before what we saw her in season 1, she went to Miracle and she took a tour. She was a tourist, and she's seeing all the sights. They do the audio tour where they drive around in golf carts and they have headphones on, and they'll hear, and on the left, this woman was trying on a wedding dress the day that the departure happened, and now she wears it every single day for an hour for good luck. And they're just sitting there like looking at her, just sitting out in her front lawn, and she's like, "Hey, you want a picture?" And they're just like, "No, that's kind of weird, but thanks. No thanks." But yeah, so it turns out that Meg has been there before.
Yeah.
And Meg is what was the thing that upset her? I guess something upset her and she's crying.
Her mom died on October 13th, the day before the departure. This is something Matt says to her in season 1. He's like, "I understand why you're upset. You were grieving, and then you felt like you were robbed of the chance to validly experience that grief."
Right, yeah. So they're kind of waiting to leave the tour, and she's just sitting on a bench and kind of crying, just being sad. And yeah, then we see Avi walk up and offer her a snack and is like, "Hey, do you want a baby carrot?"
She's like, "You can't cry while you're eating a baby carrot."
And it seems to help because they both just sit there and for the most part just silently eat these carrots. And then she's like, "Hey, if I knew a joke to cheer you up, I would say one, but I don't." And that's when Meg goes, "Knock, knock. Who's there? Broken pencil. Broken pencil. Who? I don't know. It's pointless." Which is the really nihilistic joke that she told her father. And so, like, immediately when I saw that those two characters met, I was like, "That's it. I solved it." Like, she joined the guilty remnant. Like, she has not disappeared. They're planning something. Like, I know that that's what is... Like, that's what's going to be the thing. And it turns out that that's exactly what happened, is that the
disappearance was staged.
Them.
Yeah, her and her friends disappeared on purpose, and they made it look like maybe they had departed again. That was their intention, to put that suspicion and that fear in people's minds.
Yeah.
And then they just happened to see Kevin leap gracefully off of a rock to his untimely death. Which he was ultimately saved from.
They had already taken their like vow of silence.
Yeah.
So it's not like they
can't be like,
they could have said something, but yeah. They were just like, "We're just going to stand here and watch."
Yeah, that's your prerogative, dude. Do you want to leap off a rock with a cinder block tied to your leg? I guess you can. Life means nothing. Goodbye.
Exactly. So yeah, weird things are happening with that, but Meg in season 2 has kind of become the villain of this show.
Yeah.
And I love it. I was not expecting
that at all. Exactly. She's a very compelling villain. Especially like we were talking last episode about her beautiful voice. To hear that voice be sinister is an exciting new turn.
Yes. Indeed. And there's still mysteries about the guilty remnant that I want to know, because there's this idea that they are a bigger organization than what we have seen. And with the death of Patty, Meg has kind of taken over what was left of that chapter. We like she's kind of taking over but going rogue at the same time. Like she's not necessarily doing the things that the guilty remnant want her to do exactly. She's still kind of doing things, like she's like, all right, like, doing enough to get by.
Or like, yeah, or like she's telling them, yes, I will take my group to this one particular protest you have planned. Definitely I'll be there. I won't be doing my own very extreme protest somewhere else.
Yeah, she might just send a small group of them to be at the thing that you actually want them to be at. And yeah, but so the whole thing is that she is, I guess, somehow, since Miracle has not been hit by the departure, she's basically wanting to teach them a lesson.
Yes.
And take all of the stuff that they have away. And so what has been built up around Miracle is this kind of junk town, right? This like shanty town thing of trailers and tents, and it looks like a big music festival with everyone being half naked or full on naked, and there's this like small economy that has just like popped up around this, but they're all like criminals and crooks and people who are desperate to like get in and like smuggle things in and out. And
it's a lot of different people, mostly people who want to be close to Miracle but like can't get in, or like maybe they could go in for like a couple hours on a visitor's pass, but they want to be closer to it. Like they want to live in that town, but they can't get in as residents. So they, just live in a trailer on the outskirts of the town and try and sneak in and try and get like a drink of water from the river or whatever.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know if you've ever seen Contact.
No, I have not.
Have you seen Muppets from Space?
No, I have not.
Oh, those are the two movies.
I'm very lacking in my Muppets.
We have covered this many times. Those are both movies where there is an alien activity and people. How about Mars Attacks? I think it happens in Mars Attacks.
I've seen that, but it was a long time ago.
Movies where there is an alien activity, and maybe it's in Close Encounters. This is a thing. This happens in many movies, and people of all sorts of different
like it.
Yeah, people of all these different faiths flock to that area to be there, to be close to it, and to worship it. There's people like that. There are criminals. There are weirdos. It's a lot of different people live outside of Jarden. It's not entirely the criminal scum or something. Like, it seems like there are some noble religious people there. And also some people that just want to be hit with an oar while you yell Brian at them.
It's just, that was a weird thing. But like, that's kind of what I mean. Like, if normal people are there, just the fact that they are so desperate to get in and do that, they have turned to desperate measures and do these weird things and learn how to make money in these strange ways, or they have these like new rules of like, okay, well, if you steal something, you're gonna be stripped and then put in these stocks, because
and the only way you get
stocks back.
And the only way you get out of the stocks is if somebody volunteers to take your place.
And so this whole season kind of culminates in Meg manipulating this disappearance of these three girls to stir unrest within Miracle, and then on the outside kind of use the members of her guilty remnant to inspire the people on the outside to then, hey, once this mess has been uncovered in town, go storm it. Like, just go take it and have a giant fucking party inside. Like, you can now go in. And that's what they do. All of these people go in and storm it and just completely like demolish the town. Like, everything's on fire. Everything's been burnt down and destroyed and knocked down. And they just had this like end of the world party is kind of what it felt like. And poor Kevin, because he wakes up from dying the first time only to get shot a second time, which we've mentioned.
Yes.
But things hadn't really been uncovered yet. So the town is still the town on the inside. He dies. And when he wakes up, he goes outside and the town is just destroyed and just completely just ruined. And it just has to be so disorienting. And then to immediately see like Meg and the guilty remnant right there and just like, what the where did you guys come from? Why are you here? What's going on?
Stop following me. I just want to let's live a quiet life.
I know. It's just like just the things that must be going through his mind at the end there. It's just like, oh my God, this is wild.
All of that in addition to just where is my family? Is my family safe?
Yeah. Absolutely. It was go ahead.
I just want to say that the family stuff this season was one of the strongest elements to me. I'd like to see his relationship with Nora grow. We're referring to them collectively as the Garveys. Him and Nora aren't married, but they have just sort of wordlessly made this immense commitment to each other, where they're like, where else would we go? Why would we leave each other? We love each other, and also it is safe and comforting for us to stick together. We're both people who don't want the unknown anymore. Like they have this sense of, for better or for worse, we're each other's till we die or disappear. We're going to adopt this cute little baby we found on our doorstep. We're going to take Jill and we're going to make a new life in this town. After Jill spent all of last season angsting about how her family fell apart, it is nice to see her really connect with Nora now and like really be a good big sister to Lily. She's very active in taking care of Lily. The whole family is. And one of the reasons they moved to that town is that Matt and Mary had gotten in there because Matt is friends with one of the local pastors. And they wanted to be close to them and see those two families spend more time with each other. Like that the Garveys keep getting things added onto them. It's like, well, Kevin, you've adopted this dog. This baby was on your doorstep. You've adopted a baby. Matt has to go out into the wilderness. He needs to go out into the stocks. So you're also taking care of Mary. I really wanted them to just keep getting things piled on top of them. I love the final shot of the episode. I think it's like the final shot of the season, or like one of the final scenes is that after all of this, Kevin does get home. There's Nora, there's Jill, there's Lily, Matt and Mary are there, and Lori and Tommy are back in town. They're, I guess, in town for the first time. First time we've ever had all of these characters in one room. And it was delightful to me that is what he comes back to, that everybody's there. They're not fighting. They're just there to connect and support each other. We'll see where they are, years from now when season 3 picks up again in the timeline of the show. But I like that for at least one scene, everybody's together and everybody is safe.
Yeah. I have to say, we did not get to talk about Tommy and Kevin's first wife,
Lori.
Lori. I actually don't think that's his first wife, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, but
I don't remember a previous wife being mentioned. She had a previous husband.
It might be that then, because I was gonna say, aren't Tommy and Jill not blood related?
They're half siblings. Like Lori had Tommy with that other man who she left. And then she married Kevin.
Like, one of them is with the other dude. So I was mixing up that Kevin may have, that might be Kevin's first wife, but it's not Lori's first husband, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we haven't really gotten to talk much about Tom or Lori in when we covered season 1 or in this one all that much, but I think this one they started to get into some more interesting stuff with them. where in season 2, Lori has now broken out of the guilty
Mm-hmm.
remnant, and she's kind of using Tommy to infiltrate the guilty remnant and
Mm-hmm.
get people out and be like, hey, you like, there's actually a better way to do all of this stuff. And they're doing it, and it's going okay. Like, it's, it's small time, but they're making some things happen. Meanwhile, she's writing a book about her experiences in the guilty
Mm-hmm.
remnant, which is pretty cool. Um, excuse me. But then Tommy is also just having to go in and act like he's a member of the guilty remnant is starting to get to him, or he's like, hey, they're starting to make sense here with all the stuff that they do. And then they end up deciding to be like, well, what if we just take Wayne's story and start doing
Yeah.
what Wayne did, and just like give these people that we've saved something else to believe in, even if it's a lie. It
Yeah.
might be fake, but it's something else, right?
Yeah, like Lori's been trying to rehabilitate all these guilty remnant members, and it's worked with some people, not with others. And she's like, why isn't this working as much as
Mm-hmm.
I need it to work? And Tommy says, you're taking that out of them, Mom. You aren't doing that.
Not putting anything
You aren't
back
giving
in.
them anything to take its place. And that's when she's like, they need something else to believe in. Let's make Tommy a new god. Let's make my son a god, and they'll believe in him.
Yep, indeed. That was a weird turn of events with that. I wasn't expecting that for Tommy or whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're starting to get into some more interesting stuff. I think the thing I liked the least, and I've liked the least so far about this show, I don't really like Matt and his sister. Like, I'm not
You don't like
interested in
Matt
their
and Nora?
stories.
Oh my god, Matt's my
Well,
favorite. I've been spending
Nora's
this whole
okay,
record.
but it's Matt and his life. Like, their story to me, I just am uninterested in. And when
Oh
they do the whole
man.
thing that focuses on them, I'm just like, I'm so bored with this. Like,
I
I
think
don't like any of
I
this.
think those have been some of the strongest elements of the show for me. I love Matt as this Job character who is constantly being tested, constantly being tortured and deprived, and he keeps striving. His episode, much like in season 1, we've got an episode that's mainly devoted to Matt.
Mhm.
We see him living the same day over and over again, not in a Groundhog Day way, but these same habits. Like, wakes up, he takes care of Mary, he gets to pick her up out of the car and put her in her chair and go into the grocery store and prepare her food and just live in this tiny little like cottage on the grounds of the church where he's working. They live this very small, repetitive life, and you think that it is an example of just how small Matt's life has become, how little that he is up to, that it's just sort of become this very rote, habitual life. And then you find out that he is doing the same things over and over again, playing the same song on a CD player every day, going to the grocery store every day as these rituals, because him and Mary came to Jarden, and one night she woke up. She woke up from her comatose state. Yeah, they were able to talk and laugh together. They spent the night together, and he was like, I wanted to take her to the hospital to get her checked out, to find out what in her condition has changed. And she was like, no, Matt, I just want to spend all this time with you. They slept together that night for the first time in years. And he's been doing the same day over and over again to recreate that. He's striving to get her to wake up again.
Yeah.
And it puts this very tragic spin on everything that you've just seen that you thought was a joke at Matt's expense, on how plain his life is. It's like he has chosen to do that out of belief that this will work, that he will bring her back into life again, as it were. And then you find, like, he takes her in for a checkup to see, like, is there any change in her condition? How's she doing? And then it turns out that from that night they spent together, however long ago she is pregnant. And seemingly nobody but Nora really believes him when he says that she woke up. Nora and maybe Matt does. And so everybody's giving him this look like, you assaulted your comatose wife. And he's like, I didn't. She woke up one night. She was there. Like, she was alive. She was fully alive and conscious and speaking and consenting. We had a great time together. She just went back into the state. And I don't know why. And I don't know what it takes to bring her out of this again. He's like, I just know that I need to get her back into Jarden, where this blessed town where she will be safe and the baby will be safe. And there was this episode where like they leave town, go to the doctor's appointment, and on their way back into town where he's like, you're pregnant. We thought we couldn't conceive at all. This is a miracle. We need to get back into the miracle town because I bet that's going to protect you both. And then you're going to wake up again and we're going to be this beautiful little family. Everybody has these wristbands that prove you are a citizen or a confirmed long-term visitor of Jarden. And they get mugged for their wristbands and like he can't get back in. Like it's this huge struggle to get her back into the town. They have to sneak in through like a drainage pipe. There's a really funny scene where like they go into the pipe and the camera stays at the exit to the pipe. They go in and then you see all this banging and clanging and cursing like they can't get through the grate at the other end and it's raining and then you just see the two of them come washing out with the flesh blood. It's such a tragic comedy what they do with Matt for like one episode every season with his struggle to just protect what he has. He never wants anything fancy for himself. In the first season, it was like, I would like to hold on to my church. I would like for this building to still be the church that it always has been. And instead, he gets the money, but he doesn't get it in time and it's stolen away from him. And this season, he's like, I would like to get my wife and myself back into the town where we live. And they're like, well, you don't have the wristbands that prove that you live here. You can't get back in town. At the end, he does get Mary back in town, but he's like, I need to pay some penance for anything I may have done wrong, or at least what people believe I may have done wrong. I'm going to put myself in the stocks. This weird, like, warden woman of the outskirts of Jarden who's there to yell at you about justice and whether or not a baby's yours. He's like, I'm gonna go up there. I volunteer. I release whoever that man was who was already trapped up there.
Yeah.
I put myself in penance, and I believe that Mary and the baby will be safe in the town. Another thing I really like about that episode is that Matt and Mary can't get in. They call Kevin. Kevin's just moved in. They need a more senior, not senior citizen, but somebody who's like lived in Jarden for a long time to prove, no, we know these people, they do live here. So that Kevin brings in John, and there's a very tense scene between Matt and John where John is like, your wife did not wake up because Jarden is not a magical miracle town. That's right. Like the story people tell, but that's not what we are. And I love that Kevin is the protagonist of this story, but we get to see Kevin sometimes as just a bystander when the story focuses on somebody else. And I love that it's an incredibly tense conversation between Matt and John, and Kevin's just like staring around very confused, which is what he does best. If you just want to see Justin Theroux look like intensely confused so much of the time, that's what the show is here for.
It looks like his forehead would hurt by how much his
he looks
brow is just wrinkled.
Confused. Yes.
Yeah, it's just like he's always just like, he has his like the like middle bit between your eyebrows is always wrinkled in confusion, and it's just like, it feels like he has that facial expression so much that the muscles to like make it do that are just so on point and sharp, and it's just like, what is going on? He's
gonna get a really buff forehead,
right?
His forehead gets a real workout.
Yeah.
In summation, I love Matt's story. I like narratively the story of a man of faith whose faith is tested. He's the John Locke of this show in a lot of ways. Just how far are you willing to go? When, if ever, do you turn your back on what it is that you believe in? Maybe because turning your back on it is safer and better for you. I like him, and I like the tragic comedy of how the lengths he has to go to, all these things he has to do to just lead a solid, good, small, simple life.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't think Matt's stories are bad. Like, they do a great job telling those stories, right? But it's just, for me personally, I'm just not interested in his story. Like, the things that capture my attention are the mysteries, are the, like, how did this lake get emptied out? Why is this ancient cave woman here? Who's the man on the pillar? Like, what is this purgatory place? Like, I want to know that stuff. I want to follow the crime story of, like, what happened to these missing girls here. So yeah, I like all of that stuff, and season 2 absolutely started to give me more of that. Yeah, which is why I was like, ooh, I really like this season. That's great. That's good.
I think it's rich in mystery. It's rich in character moments and tension and threat. Like Matt's situation with Mary, where he says she woke up, but nobody else can prove it. Kevin's situation where, like, his palm is on the car, and he knows nobody will buy what he says about how innocently he was there. There's this threat of what happens if somebody knows something, if secrets get out, especially in the context of these people moving to this small town for a fresh start. I like that form of threat this season. I like the increase in the chaos energy and just all the weird little side things going on, like the goat man.
Good stuff indeed. I think that's about all I have to say on season 2. I don't know if I have much more that I can dig into. This was good though. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yes.
This was good.
This
indeed.
was I liked season 1. But watching this season, I was like, oh, this is why I've heard people speak so highly of this show.
Right, yeah.
I really get it now.
I am pulling up my bingo card. I don't know if I'm gonna have any.
I have a bingo.
Oh man, how do you get all the? I still have 1. You now have 6. Is that what you're telling me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Do you also have the square actors themselves?
Yes. Did I miss this?
It's very small. In season 1, they're talking about how the entire cast of the 80s sitcom Perfect Strangers vanished in the departure. And that's why anytime anybody's watching TV and it's not the news for exposition reasons, they're watching Perfect Strangers because that show just keeps running in memoriam. There's a bit this season where somebody's watching TV and the news is like, we found Perfect Strangers star Mark Lynn Baker secretly hiding out in Mexico. And it's like, Mark, you didn't depart. You faked your departure. And he's like, leave me alone. I'm not who you think I am.
I do remember that scene. That's not one that I would have caught at all.
This is the one thing I knew about this show going into it, is that everybody from Perfect Strangers disappeared, and then you found out that Mark Lynn Baker is still alive.
That's funny. Okay, so I marked that one down, and again, no bingos for me.
Wow, you wound up with
I feel like hopefully by the end of the year I'll get like 1 or 2 things, but like I'm set up so that I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have like 5 of them that I could like all just need like 1 more square.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's some that if I get this one and that one, it's like, oh, that's 3 right there because I got this one and this one and that one.
Yeah.
And, so yeah,
you've got a couple detonators that are Hopefully can blow
I'll
by the
catch
end of the
up.
season.
Oh man, that'd be so bad if I don't. If I still just have that one bingo by the end of the year.
I think it all comes
Okay.
down to like just the luck of the draw when it comes to
Yeah.
cheat layout, which you can't predict.
Indeed.
Mark Lynn Baker coming out for me.
Okay, well, since this is season 2, we do not do recommendations on this one.
Nope.
We save them for the first one and the last one. So no recommendations on this. However, I do have pitches for next week.
Yeah, normally we would do this the week before. So we've got 2 weeks to kind of think about what we're watching or reading next, but you needed another week to put them together, which is fine. Yeah. I'm excited to learn now what we will be covering next week.
Indeed. Pitch number 1 here. Well, all right. So I did mention last week that I would be pitching a bunch of superhero comics. It's been a little bit since we've just done a superhero comic proper. So yeah, I thought it would be good to go back to that. So pitch number 1 is an event book from DC Comics entitled Flashpoint. This is not a dream, not an imaginary story, not an Elseworld tale. This is Flash Fact. When Barry Allen wakes up at his desk, he discovers the world has changed. His family is alive. Loved ones are strangers and close friends are different, gone, or worse. It's a world on the brink of a cataclysmic war. But where are Earth's greatest heroes to stop it? It's a place where America's last hope is Cyborg, who intends to gather the forces of the Outsider, the Secret Seven, Shazam, Citizen Cold, and other new and familiar yet altered faces. It's a world that could be running out of time if the Flash can't find the villain who altered the timeline. So it's only 5 issues, and it's available on Comixology Unlimited. So it'd be a short one.
That's shorter than I thought it would be for how much this is talked about as a major comic event.
Yeah, sure is. Yep. I mean, they're like, if you really want to get into it, this is when they stopped doing the issue, or the event is like 8 to 12 issues. It's now a shorter story, but there's all these tie-ins if you really want to go out there and read okay, what was the Batman tie-in, or what was the Wonder Woman tie-in, or all of that stuff, and it helps to fill out that main story. But the main one is only 5 issues. And like I said, that's available on Comixology Unlimited, as are my other 2 pitches.
Very nice.
Pitch number 2. Let's take a gander back to the Valiant universe. This is Exo Manowar, who I like to describe as a mix between Iron Man and Thor.
Yes.
So let's see. This is the beginning of the all-new Valiant universe starts here. Eric of Dacia is a brash warrior and heir to the throne of the Visigoth people. He has lived his life under the heel of the Roman Empire, but now a far more terrible enemy has come to subjugate him. Taken from his home and family, Eric is enslaved aboard a starship belonging to a brutal race of alien colonizers known as the Vine. If he is to have any hope of escaping and returning to Earth, he will have to steal the Vine's most powerful weapon, a sentient suit of indestructible armor, and become Exo Manowar. So the ones that I want to read, they are written by Robert Venditti, with pencils by Carrie Nord. This was from, I want to say, back in like 2012, and I would like to read the first 3 volumes of that. I've actually read this before, and those first 3 make for a good like arc and introduction to the character there. So that's the first 3 volumes. Let me see, where is volume 2? There's 3. Let me see how much that one. Oh, that's the deluxe one. That's not what I want. Oh well, I will. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the first 15 issues.
Okay.
So a little bit more, but very doable. Because I remember these ones reading very fast. So there you go. Mix between Thor and Iron Man. And last but not least, pitch number 3. I would like to read the first 2 volumes of Miss Marvel. We know that there's gonna be an upcoming Disney Plus show about her in the near future. But Miss Marvel from 2014 is written by G. Willow Wilson and art by Adrian Alfana. And the cover art by Sarah Pacelli. This is collecting the first handful of issues of this brand new character. Marvel Comics presents the all-new Miss Marvel, the groundbreaking heroine that has become an international sensation. Kamala Khan is an ordinary girl from Jersey City until she is empowered with extraordinary gifts. But who truly is the all-new Miss Marvel? Teenager, Muslim, human? Find out as she takes the Marvel universe by storm. As Kamala discovers the dangers of her newfound powers, she unlocks secrets behind them as well. Is Kamala ready to wield these immense new gifts, or will the weight of the legacy before her be too much to handle? Kamala has no idea either, but she's coming for you. That's what it says.
Nice.
So yeah, I have yet to read these books here, but I've heard nothing but great things. She's a character that has since stuck in the Marvel universe, which is very rare and very difficult to do nowadays. And the recent Avengers video game had her as the main character, which is amazing.
I knew she was the main character.
Yeah, of the story mode thing, she is like the main character there. But fun fact about her, she is a normal teenage girl who likes to write fan fiction about the Marvel heroes. So now that she is getting these powers and stuff, she's meeting the people that's like, oh, I just met Doctor Strange and Daredevil. Please don't go to my website. There might be some fan fiction of you two making out and doing other things on my website. Like that is the kind of stuff that she does.
I like that. And I like that a lot. I think that's fun.
She gets to meet all of her heroes and be like, is this a team up? My first team up? This is amazing. I love this. And there is, we got to interview Stephanie Cook on the Captain's Log a while back, and I mentioned that I found out about her from the Talking Comics podcast when she used to be on that show. And there is a guy on that show who has been reading comics since like the Marvel universe got started and all of this stuff. And when he read these, he was like, these are incredible. This is exactly what it felt like when Spider-Man first got started. Like the same magic that was in that was neat. But But yeah, I'm interested in all of these ones. I think Flashpoint would be an interesting read for us because we have not read the Flash yet. It is an
We've not.
event book, and it's one that is pivotal for a number of reasons, good and bad. So I think it would be an interesting discussion.
Good and bad.
Good and bad, yeah. Exo Manowar, I really like that character. I haven't read much. We've covered some Valiant comics on here, and I always like to give them like, hey, don't forget, like if you like superhero books, these guys have some great ones. So I figured going back to that might do us some good there, because I think for the most part we've enjoyed the stuff that we've read from Valiant here on the show, and I know
it's all been very different
personally that I have enjoyed very much. So there you go. And then Miss Marvel, who you just heard me talk about at length.
Yeah, I'd love to get to know Miss Marvel at some point. I'm sure Exo Manowar is a nice guy. I think I've told you that I don't understand his name. And I don't mean to be rude, but that turns me off of the book. I don't understand why his name is both Exo and Manowar. I feel like if it was only one or the other, I'd understand it better. Or if his name was Manowar XO, like that was like a model number. But the fact that it's Exo Manowar, like he's signing off like he's Gossip Girl, I can't get it through my head.
I think the suit is the Manowar armor, and the Exo is meant to just be like a weird, cool way of being. It's an exosuit, like if that makes sense. It's the Exo Manowar.
Okay,
if that makes
does
sense.
help.
I think that's
that
it.
helps me out.
I could be completely wrong though. I don't know for sure.
Every time you say the words Exo Manowar, it's like you open your mouth and just a bunch of spaghetti came out. Like I can't process it as words.
Hugs and kisses,
I'm gonna go with
Manowar.
I'm gonna go with Flashpoint.
Okay.
This is a title. Like this is a specific storyline I've heard a lot about. I've heard a lot about Miss Marvel as a character. But and I know this is her origin story, and of course an origin story, the first comics you appear in are very important. But like I am aware of Flashpoint as a major event. I've seen things that allude to it, like in I think it's Batman v Superman, where he shows up and he's like, Lois is the key. Wait a minute. I'm not supposed to be here now. All right, bye, Bruce. I'll catch you later at the correct time. And I know that's what this Flash movie is going to be. And we were just talking about in The Leftovers season 2, Kevin goes to this plane where he's living like an alternate life and he sees these characters that he knows in a different light. And this feels like a nice follow-up to that. I really like stories where you go to a world and it's like, you're not supposed to be doing that. Why are you here? Where'd so-and-so go? I like a story of alternate universes. Stuff. So, yeah, I think Flashpoint sounds the most valuable for me to read in my comics knowledge at this point.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Well, that is what we will do for this next week. I'm excited to dive into Flashpoint and talk about it with you. I just, for those out there, there's also an animated movie of Flashpoint.
That's right.
Point that's out there. So if you guys want extra stuff, you guys can go watch that. But yeah, that is what we shall do for this next week. And then, yeah, don't forget, at the end of this month, at the end of November, we will be covering season 3 of The Leftovers.
Yes.
So get excited about that too. But for now, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember.
There you go. You guys can follow me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are on Twitter at the Whatnauts. So go like, share, subscribe. You guys know the deal with that. That would help us out a ton. And yeah, that wraps us up for number 182 of the Whatnauts review show. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.